there's no way we're going to top this.
Just brushing.
Forget about me. Don't you forget about me. Love me, look my way, never love me. Rain keeps falling down. My feeling will win in the end. I won't harm you or touch your defenses.
I have a lot of band memories that I would love to share right now, but I think one of my favorites is the fact that I never got called out on recording things during band. Like, I would record before concerts in wind ensemble, symphonic band, jazz, pit orchestra, marching band. Literally every, ensemble I was in, I would record stuff, and it would just be, us playing with, Grace screaming in the background. And I'm really glad I did it, because one of my favorite videos is us playing 1812 for the first time last year, because it is just absolutely atrocious in every single way.
Definitely Pit Orchestra and the show last year, Addams Family, and Beauty and the Beast this year, even though we didn't get to perform it. And the time we drove pretty much 2 hours just to go to McDonald's because it rained on Columbus Day.
My favorite band memory had to have been the Tillis Center performance.
Last year at the Tillis Center when we were playing the concert for Officer Tizullo.
Definitely Tillis Center. Basic, but 100% hands down.
Because you could just feel how the room came together and how silent everything was.
When the entire place went dead silent for 15-20 seconds, that was one of the craziest things I've ever lived through.
Because we knew how important that piece was and how meaningful it was to Mrs. Martinola's and just to our entire community.
The music program really came together and bonded to try and make this experience truly memorable, and I feel like that's why I'm always going to remember that.
When we played Sleigh Ride at Beach Street this year, I remember in past classes I was asking him if I could have a little fun with the whip cracks, and he said no each time, obviously. But he comes up to me that morning when we're setting up. It is like, the first time I want you to be absolutely serious. The second time, do whatever you want. And I was like, do you want me to tell you what I want to do? And he's like, no, just, if I know what you're going to do, I'm probably going to say no. Okay. I decided to jump around the stadium. Not stadium. I jumped around the stage. And I at the very last point, I literally leaped off the stage for the last whip crack, which was definitely a highlight.
No, Okay, why would I just choose one Kaufmanism when I could just choose them all with the circle of Kaufman? It has all the iconic phrases like hamster against the tree, how do you sit in band, and worst playing I've ever heard, don't do it again, do it better. Easily one of the best things we've ever made, and easily the best Kaufmanism.
I was a little timid 9th grader, and just every day we'd be playing like Shenandoah or something, and it'd just be in the middle of playing, just I'd get yelled at. Louder, Paul! If you sat near me in 11th grade, first of all, I'm sorry, but you'd know that loudness didn't become a problem anymore. Not at all.
In 9th grade, we were playing, I believe it's Shenandoah, and he stopped us about 18 straight times just for not being together on the first note. We wouldn't even take a breath. Not at the same time. No, stop. Cut it off. It's done.
So the first one, it was every time we played a slow song, we would cut you off like this. You'd be like, watch me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'd go. And just hold it there and embrace like the silence, and then you'd be like, oh, it's beautiful. The second one was freshman year I got injured and was on crutches, and there was a 5-measure solo phrase that I had, and we spent the whole entire period working on it, and he wouldn't let me leave early until I played it correctly. And he said to me, he goes, I will carry you to your next class if I have to until you play this piece right. It's a 5-bar phrase, and he goes, you're not leaving me until you play that right.
In Pitt, he drank seltzer all the time. And I hate seltzer, so I was like, oh, you're drinking seltzer. And he said that one time he was talking to this kid, and the kid said that seltzer tastes like what your feet feel like when they fall asleep. And then he proceeded to take like a giant swig of it, and I was like, what? Gross.
Mr. Kaufman, you said you didn't want a cupcake, so we got you something healthier. And I'm 6. We didn't have a layer.
Mr. Crace. Well. Soaring!
Soar!
When we were on the bus going to B Street, I think, and he, for some reason, sat behind me and Nicole, and he gave us his phone to play a fighting game on. And he was trying to teach me how to play it, and I did better than he does.
So I guess one of my favorite Crace memories would be from a football game when we were in pep band, and that night it was just really cold, and to make it worse, I actually got my meningitis vaccine, I think a couple hours before, so I was feeling really terrible, and Chris took a picture of me and put it up in the band room. So thank you for that.
I gotta say, when me and Rob went to the store specifically just to get the clothespins to stick onto people at band day, and I asked Marissa if I should go get Crace, and I slowly worked my way up to putting like 5 or 6 clips on the back of his jacket without him realizing. And then when he did realize, he starts to get me back with him. It was just a really good time. And band days are just always a good time, so.
He just cut us off, and he wouldn't say much. He'd just look at us with like despair in his face as to how bad, or any section, how bad any section just played that part, and he'd just look at us. And then he would be like, all right, let's do it again.
Last year, Adam's Family, when we were running through the show, and as people were flipping through their pit books, they were finding the weirdest pictures taped to their music. So we all knew it was Crace because nobody else would do something that weird. So after 30 minutes of laughing, I decided to take all the photos, and I decided to put them all in his wind ensemble scores, so when he's flipping through, he would just find the pictures and be like, what the heck? So I ended up doing that. It was really funny. And then a few days later, I come into wind ensemble, I unlock my locker, take out my clarinet, I open it up, and there's one of the pictures just on top of my clarinet, and I did not expect it at all.
What I'll miss about band the most will definitely be the people.
I love everyone that I've met in band. I've met a lot of new friends that I would have never met if it wasn't for band.
Well, I definitely won't miss playing Tess, but I'll miss the group as a whole and just the positive environment that came from band.
I will miss mostly getting to see the same people every day and just having a lot of fun and having our concerts and going to the diner after concerts and stuff like that.
I think what I'm gonna miss most about band is, since I sit in the front, Mr. Chris always makes small comments to me, like as he's conducting, and as I'm playing, he'll just say something and expect me to respond.
I'm gonna miss just being able to joke around with Mr. Chris and everybody. I'm gonna miss band so much. Oh my god.
Knowing that like I belong, knowing that everybody I talk to I'm gonna laugh with and joke about for jokes that only we would understand. Just being in that band room together, it's something that I'll definitely miss.
Yes, we were a band class, but it was also like we were a family. We trusted each other, and Mr. Cray is just, he would make everyone's day so much better. I'm just really gonna miss that sense of knowing that once I stepped into that classroom, my day would change. And it's gonna be kind of sad because I miss everyone, you know? I wish we could have ended in a different way, but.
Final thoughts would be just to have fun and just enjoy every second of it.
I think it's important to remember that we all bring a lot to the band and we're all very important here.
If you're going to screw around, you know, mess around, be a nuisance, don't do it the loudest, because that will end badly for you. I learned that one the hard way.
If any freshmen, sophomores, or juniors are hearing this, audition for Wind, I think. I didn't want to in 10th grade, because I didn't think I'd make it, but if you don't, then you'll never know what you could have.
Also try new things, you know, even if you don't think you're gonna like it, you don't know. What's the worst that can happen?
Try and enjoy every minute of band, even when it doesn't seem the most enjoyable, because before you know it, the last day will be here and you'll be wishing that you had a little more time.
Without a doubt, don't take it for granted. There are so many times where I walked in there and I was like, oh, I gotta play my trumpet, and Mr. Gracie can ask me to play these high notes, and it's ninth period, I just want to go home. Definitely don't, because I would give anything to just go back and have one more period and just mess around with everyone.
What was the question? Some words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom are probably like, I don't think anybody should quit band.
Even if it doesn't seem like it yet, that would be the worst decision you could make in your life. This is coming from someone who thought about quitting in 5th grade, thought about quitting in 8th grade, thought about quitting a lot, okay? But I am glad I did not, because it was the best experience to be a part of.
And it's such a privilege to get to work with Grace and Kaufman. They're really amazing directors.
And just a quick side note, symphonic band is clearly the superior band, but Grace won a minute, but he knows it's true.
If one giant Kaufman versus 100 mini Craces, I believe that 100 mini Craces would definitely win. Crace is an animal, absolute animal. He would eat Kaufman alive.
I think one giant Kaufman would win, because he would just pick up the mini Craces and just throw them against trees like they're hamsters.
One Kaufman. Not only does he have the height advantage if he's giant, he also goes on like 27-mile bike rides through like the Swiss Alps. He would be kicking around all those little Craces all over the place.
The age-old question. My money's on the Craces. I feel like they'd overwhelm him.
Hands down, 100 miniature crazes. Craze always gets his way.
A bunch of tiny Craces would devour large Mr. Kaufman. Destroy him, absolutely.
We both agree that 100 miniature Craces could overtake Kaufman.
But imagine them like scurrying up Kaufman.
I definitely think 100 miniature Crazes would win in a fight.
I feel like one gigantic Kaufman would win.
The gigantic Kaufman would easily beat the mini Craces, because Kaufman would just have a big, oversized orange crock that he could easily just step on any of the mini craces with.
I'd probably have to go with one gigantic Kaufman. Like, nothing undermining Mr. Crace at all, but just a giant Kaufman, because the way, like, his mannerisms sometimes, like, he'll cut you off like this, like, that could be deadly, and then he just gets, like, one time during pit orchestra, he gets so lost in the music that he's just looking down, still conducting, and then as soon as you mess up, he's like, whoa, cut it off. So that could be a thunderclap that could take out the 100 miniature craces.
Sorry, Kaufman, but I definitely think the 100 miniature craces would beat you in a battle. I don't really have a reason, I just feel it in my heart.
We won.
Well, from Shenandoah to Winds of Sonora, we sure have had our fair share of memories, haven't we? Memories that really brought us all closer together, taking something as simple as a band and adding so much more meaning to it, creating a bond that no other group of students and no other class could compare to. I think the hardest part for all of us is the fact that we had to say goodbye on such short notice. No Memorial Day parade, no band banquet, no jazz night, no musical that we worked so hard on. But I think what truly hit the hardest for all of us was no final spring concert and having to accept the fact that, unlike all the seniors before us, walking on stage and eagerly shaking Mr. Crace's hand when our name and our next destination was called, that was never going to happen.
That got sad.
This truly was an ending that one might also compare to, well, throwing a hamster against a tree. And yet, even with this disappointment over the sudden change in life, quarantine really illuminated the fact that the bond between this group of seniors is stronger than anyone thought. Because even when quarantine hit, we stayed in touch, we drove by each other's houses to shoot videos and deliver graduation cords, we held Google Meet sessions, and on the night that was supposed to be our spring concert, we texted each other reminiscing on old band memories, and maybe even teared up a bit when Mr. Cray sent us his email. Sure, COVID can take away our concerts and our banquet, but this virus can never take away the bonds we made, the inside jokes we referenced, and the memories we shared. What we had here was special, and because of this, I truly believe that the West Islip Band program will always remain alive in our hearts.
Mr. Kaufman, Mr. Crace, don't ever forget us. Don't forget Lily and Nicole's contagious laughter, or Matt's love for symphonic band. Don't forget our smiles, our witty comments, our dedication or lack of, because you know that you will never have another Patrick Bolin, or Stephen Petralia, or Isabella Rogler, or Tristan Tran, or Max and I, and, well, you get the point.